Welcome in, everybody, to another patch notes breakdown. It's been a hot minute because there was no bonus balance this time around for 11.1. We're heading into 11.2, Goddess of the Sky update, and we are getting our new god, Newt. Her passive is when Newt hits an enemy god with a damaging ability, she gains attack speed buff for 5 seconds. Newt may gain multiple stacks from a single ability. Attack speed buff is 2 plus 0.1% of your level, max up to 10 stacks. You have Convergence. Newt enhances her basic attacks, firing 2 additional damaging projectiles from her sides at a converging angle. All projectiles pierce enemies, but not walls, with the center dealing basic attack damage and the sides dealing ability damage. Newt always shoots at least once, but may fire up an additional 4 shots by gaining stacks when damaging enemies in basic attacks. Newt gains 2 stacks for damaging enemy gods. Newt may cancel this ability to refund any unused shots as stacks. Has a 55 unit range. The center damage goes from 55 scaling down to 35% as far as the reduction. The side damage is 3 to 19 plus 15% of your physical power. I think it's going to be pretty good. Gives you a little bit of nice AoE going on. We have Crashing Comet. Newt calls down a comet from the sky, which crashes in the circular area, dealing damage. After it lands, sends out a damaging shockwave in a larger area. Enemies hit by the comet take a second instant of damage and are rooted, while enemies in the shockwave are trembled. Range and radius is 55 and then 25, 10. Damage scales from 35 to 115 plus 35% of your physical power. The root goes from 0.9 to 1.3 seconds. Tremble is 0.25 seconds. It's pretty good. Warp, she basically is able to dash, and when she dashes, it gives 3 homing projectiles, which I think is really cool. Damage on that's 15 to 55 plus 20% of your physical power. It has a pretty nice cooldown starting at 14, scaling down to 12 seconds. I think it's going to be kind of nice, and it's going to feel good. Skyfall, her ultimate. Newt becomes crowd control immune and gathers all of her energy, flying high into the sky and becoming untargetable for 3 seconds. Newt then may move and aim before firing a massive black hole towards the battleground that lands after a short delay, dealing damage to all enemies. After the black hole lands, a gravity surge extends outward, damaging and pulling all enemies towards the center. Newt then lands, returning her initial location. Radius is 20-40. Initial damage 200, scaling to 440 plus 80% of your physical power. The surge damage is 80 to 160 plus 40% of your physical power. Cooldown's 100 seconds, cost 100 mana. I think that's going to be super sick. This is literally Spirit Bomb, is what I feel like. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be pretty cool to see. She is getting, her standard recolor, unlimited year 11 skin, along with mastery skins. We're getting a new battle pass with some cross-gen skins, which are going to include Cosmic Thrawn Hades and Gleaming Defender Ares. Bake is going to be the commendation reward. We're going to get Hoyi, Aphrodite, and Sasano skins. That's right, Afro, Sasano, getting skins together in the same patch. Pretty wild, but that new battle pass will be there. We have some general bug fixes. We're not going to worry too much about that. And Conquest, getting some prots and health reductions across the board to different camps along the way. Beacon is getting a little bit of extra damage on the second and third captures, will be nice. And then Fire Giant FC is going to lose 250 health, make that a little bit easier to take down. Along with that, map bosses. Decrease lifesteal blocking debuff from 50 to 25% on all the bosses, which is going to be huge. Duel, you're going to see a change to the unbanned and banned bottom tier gods there, so stay tuned for that. Nerfs to items. Let's talk about item nerfs. We have Warrior's Axe, decreased physical power by 5, alternate timeline, decreased prots by 5 for both physical and magical. Horrific Emblem, which has been really, really good. They're going to decrease the slow by 5% to 25%, add 10 seconds on that cooldown. And that's going to be pretty much across the board there for all of its upgrades. Proximity Ward may not be purchased until level 5 now. It was doing work early on if you drop these and then got the slow. Demon Blade, the item that I think will be built no longer. Basically, they removed the passive attack speed on the passive, and I think that kind of guts Demon Blade entirely. Really surprised they went with the attack speed rather than the pin, so we'll have to see how that goes here. Devoted Deathbringer is going to lose 0.05 on the crit multiplier, which I think will be good. I think crit is kind of a bait right now, so we'll see if this kind of really just takes it all out. Buffs, Conduit Gem, increase time per stack 1 second to 0.5 seconds instead, and the true damage from 2 to 1 per stack. Archmage Gems gets that decreased timer per stack from 1 second to 0.5. Death's Temper, an item I already liked, is getting basically going to decrease the stacks but up the damage per stack, making it easier to stack and use. Along with that, they're going to double the health on it to 150, which I don't think that's massive, but the stack change is going to be huge. I think Death's Temper is going to feel really, really good. Rejuvenating Heart is going to be insane. The shared healing is going to increase from 33% to 75%. It over doubled. Big change to Rejuvenating Heart here. I think this item will be purchased a lot. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Vibrant Shard, they're going to increase the physical and magical damage scaling by 5% on each. Cannoneers, an item I really like and wish I saw more of, is going to get 5 to each protection. Does that bring it in? I don't know. I would like to see more of this item. It might need a little more love. Blackthorn Hammer, decrease the cost by 150, increase the health by 50. Titan's Bane, increase physical power by 5 and decrease the passive cooldown by 1 second. Going to feel pretty good on Titan's Bane. Some god nerfs. Athena has been doing a lot. Defender of Olympus is going to get a little bit of decreased damage mitigation. Instead of being 20 at all times, it will scale to 20 now. Same with the movement speed, starting at 10, then going to 20. Maman Brigitte, Party Trick, increased the base cooldown by 2 seconds, and Spirit Seize decreased the initial hit damage, which is what I really thought needed to be changed, by 5%. It's going down to 10%, really something that needed to happen, I think, initially in that first nerf. Toth, Hieroglyphic Assault, decreased the bonus damage scaling and subsequent hits from 15% to 10%. Final Judgment decreased the damage scaling from 125 to 120%. I don't think this kills Toth, but I do think that's a nice change and needed. Bake, a god that has been either really dominant or really bad, depending on what games you're in. I think he's really, really good at non-Conquest. In Conquest, he's okay, but in non-Conquest, I think he's really, really good. Rough Waters, they shifted the max stacks to 8 at all ranks, decreased the prots, decreased the damage on Sonic Wave, and Yokai's Lament got shifted damage to increase the debuff. Kukulkan, Slipstream decreased the movement speed, starting at 50 going to 70 instead of 60 going to 80, and they increased the cooldown. Hachiman Heavenly Banner increased the cooldown by 1 second. Mounted Archery increased the cooldown by 10 seconds. On her, Shifting Sands has decreased the slow down to 35% instead of 40 at max rank. Chiron, Damnation is going to get decreased shield from 2.5% of Chiron's health to 2% instead. Vamana Colossal Fury is going to get decreased power, now scaling 25 to 45, and decreased lifesteal down to 30%. The buffs for gods, Hades getting an extra 10% protections in Pillar of Agony. Hebwa, water can increase damage, now 20%, and the mana cost now scales 40 to 60 instead of 40 to 80. Hoyi, they're going to increase the damage on Ricochet, going 95 to 295 now, adding a little bit of damage on there. Xing Tian getting a buff here, love this. Ferocious Roar, increased damage reduction, now being 30 to 50%. Hook Slam, decreased the cooldown, now scales 14 to 12 instead. Kerberos getting a nice change. Soul Explosion has a new effect that if you kill the ghost of a god, it decreases the cooldown on Soul Explosion by 2 seconds, so that's going to be huge. Zhongqi getting increased attack speed from 0.86 to 0.95 now. Demon Bag's going to get reduced stacks down to 30, but now they'll have 1.6 per protection. Kali, I don't know if we needed this change, decreased cooldown by 1 second on Incense. Horus getting a general buff of increased health and health per level. Now 683 is the base and going to 100 per level instead of 88. Resolute increased the heal as well. Hercules, it did not need a buff. Earthbreaker increased the damage. Now it's going to be 90 scaling to 310 instead of 290. Nemesis Retribution increased the shield from 150 to 450 now, which is a nice little change here, early and late. Divine Judgment increased the movement speed, now scaling 10 to 20%, which will be nice. And Chiron, Giddy Up, increased the base damage, now scales 75 to 195, and decreased the mana cost. It's not going to be 70 at all ranks, so I expect to see more Chiron, and I already see too much of them, to be honest, in the duo lane and the mid lane. But that's it for this patch, for Patch Notes Breakdown. I appreciate y'all coming in. If you haven't checked us out, I'm now on a Smite game streamer, so come check that out. I'm a Smite ambassador, always happy to help out and answer questions. And we are finishing up the Rising Dawn charity event this week, probably in the next couple days. So if you want to check it out, I'll drop a link below in the YouTube video for donations to the Guardians Mental Health, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you want to help out and send out mental health kits for free nationwide. So if you want to help out with that or just check them out and see what they're about, feel free to do that. guardiansmentalhealth.org is our Rising Dawn charity event. I appreciate y'all tuning into Patch Notes Breakdown. It's nice to be back. Let me know what you think about the patch in the comments below, what changes you want to see in the near future. I'll catch y'all later. Bye!